The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
So in fact, the ASEAN leaders are keen to raise the, profile of the ASEAN young entrepreneurs and also SMEs, and that includes women as well. So to encourage economic and social change as well as development of micro, small, medium-sized enterprises, following a meeting with the ASEAN Business Advisory Council, it was just the few months back that it was held. And then it was to, like I mentioned, to encourage and to create more platforms for younger generations to start their own businesses and to be able to contribute to economy in the nation, not only Malaysia but also ASEAN context.
Actually, I do have someone that I really admire in the ASEAN context when it comes to. I wouldn't say she's an entrepreneur now, but she used to be an entrepreneur. She's now the Minister of Fisheries Affairs, Maritime and Fisheries Affairs for Indonesia. She was handpicked by Joko Widodo to be part of the cabinet.
Oh yes.
Her name is Susi Pudjiastya. Susi Pudjiastya. And I mean, if you read through her biography, you will fall in love with her. Literally, she never graduated university nor high school. After when she was 15 years old, because she was born really poor, she have to work for her family. So she worked in the fishing industry, like very sort of simple, sort of very manual hard work jobs.
I see.
And from there she worked her way up. And she started her business in the fishing industry, and she was so successful at it that Joko Widodo picked her to head the Marine and Fisheries Affairs as a minister. And mind you, for Joko Widodo's term as President of Indonesia, maritime will be one of the key economic sector for Indonesia to move forward, to increase its GDP to 7%, as what Joko Widodo promised to Indonesians.
And in fact, we just reported about how Indonesia wants to strengthen their maritime forces there. So to be appointed for somebody to take care of that area is very crucial and also important. She has to really know what's in and out and what are the problem and the issues.
Another area that I really admire, Susi Pudjiastya. Sorry, I cannot mention. I cannot pronounce her name.
Susi is fine.
Yeah. You see, she was so successful at her business. She even have her own aviation
as in dot.
as in, we have AirAsia in Malaysia.
Yeah.
She have her own version of AirAsia, but it's in Indonesia, but it's a private sort of aviation regional airline company. It's called Susi Air.
Susi Air.
Yeah.
It's really cute.
It's really cute, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people actually use her services because it's very trusted, it's very efficient, and they have, in fact, 32 aircraft of various type. I mean, this is how successful she is. She's not like someone who come from a rich background, but she worked her way up. And I think women can be that. Women can be Oprah Winfrey. They can be Susi if they aspire to be like her.
And let's move on to ASEAN itself in terms of opportunities, because Grace was talking about earlier as to what are the solutions to some of the problems that we raised earlier in the first half, and how can women also overcome this hurdle that's been set in front of them. And of course, one of the first thing is how are they going to take advantage of the AEC itself, the 2015. And that will definitely open up a wider audience or more consumers for whatever startups or entrepreneurship efforts that's coming up. And also to, I think like we mentioned earlier in the news as well, that the trade it will become easier in between countries.
I think knowledge is very important. In a lot of the news that we discuss about ASEAN has put in place a lot of different measures besides reduced tariff and then having a free duty-free zones. But we also have to acknowledge the ASEAN have created making business easy between ASEAN countries by implementing the common visa for ASEAN, and I think in the longer run, a woman should be successful even without AEC. I think women can be successful. If you read through all the successful women in the world, they come from nowhere, but they try to break the stereotypes, because I think a lot of the challenges are not external but internal as well. Of course, externally you need funds, you need opportunities, you need access, but internally you shouldn't question yourself too much. You should just do it. If you fail, just rise up again and do it again until you achieve success.
When it comes to ASEAN context again, religion, we cannot ignore the religion, and the religion actually affects a lot of areas, and also business is not ignored there. What is your perspective when it comes to religion and business?
I think
in ASEAN
religion
context?
definitely, having any religion at all, it does play a part, because when that becomes your way of life, you tend to make all your decisions revolving around that. But in terms of ASEAN itself, there are definitely a lot of opportunities opening up, and also in terms of culture, the culture that we're brought up in. Sometimes we have the racial stereotypes as well, as opposed to gender, because well, we all know that if you're in an Indian family, the first thing they will tell you is to be a doctor and it's not to be an entrepreneur. And that will be
And also lawyer.
a different story if you're in a Chinese family. And that is something that's very distinct and something that you actually see happening around you, where like a lot of my Chinese friends would say, oh, I need to take over my family business, or I need to help my dad, or my dad wants me to get into
But is
business.
it a woman problem, or is it like a culturally?
I think it's more of a cultural.
Yeah, I'm
It's a
moving
cultural
more into
problem.
like a racial stereotype for this, and so that's that factor that plays a part as well. So when it comes to these racial stereotypes, it doesn't matter if you're a man or women anymore. It's about how you are brought up and what are your parents' mindset that also
that's
comes
true.
into play.
Yeah, and also something that I've noticed is when it comes to culture and the religious part, right? Women who are heavily from the religious background, okay, especially in Malaysia, when we talk about the Malaysia or Indonesia, when it comes to hand gesture, or when it comes to first impression to in business world, they tend to be more reserved than men. Okay, I'm talking about the Malay community. Female entrepreneurs, Malay female entrepreneurs, they tend to be a bit more reserved when it comes to gesture. When they say hi, nice to meet you, so we take out our hands for handshake, but then they don't want to do that because it sort of goes against what they believe in. So for those who actually don't know about that context, they will feel actually offended in the business world, and that they actually give them a wonder.
Great that you mentioned that, because if I'm not mistaken, I did one of my class in university studying about different business ethics based on cultural values of the country. I think different countries have different idea about how society should interact with each other, and it's important as businesswoman or businessman to be very sensitive, very aware of the cultural attitudes of society. I mean, let's say you are doing business. I just give example within Southeast Asia. Let's say
nasi lemak, right?
let's say you're a Malaysian selling nasi lemak. You want to do business. Give example Myanmar.
Okay.
Because they like belacan, right? So and they like anchovies too.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe nasi lemak business will boom there. But Myanmar society is actually more conservative than Malaysian society. So for women to be in business and do business in Myanmar, they need to be even more aware of how a woman's presence amongst men ought to be. So I think even as women, you need to be culturally sensitive to the society where you're doing business. It's basic common sense in a way.
And also to move forward when it comes to women entrepreneurship in ASEAN context, I think, Eileen, you just shortly mentioned about educating people. I think it's very important. They need to have some form of institution for women to be informed and to be updated what's going on in business world, so they can actually have a better understanding when it comes to starting their own business and startups, and also to step into the real business world.
Yeah, we have during ASEAN to do that.
Yeah, we have just too many girls.
And it's also about Arlene was also mentioning earlier, it's about breaking away from the stereotypes, breaking away from all the rules that people have set for you, and you push yourself beyond that and set new boundaries, set new rules, and change the perception about that. Just keep things professional and make it clear that you're in it just for the business, and this is a professional relationship, and we are working together. And I think that's how you overcome it.
Yeah, we have to overcome it. They shouldn't definitely stop us to, for us to going forward. So women entrepreneurs, we have to just keep looking at this area, because after all, we are all women, and then we are also striving for our careers in this industry.
So I guess before we wrap things out, I guess some final comments about how can we be successful ASEAN women entrepreneurs.
For me, it's going back to Richard Branson, it's the yes attitude, that you grab whatever opportunity that comes to you. Don't overthink it, overanalyze it, because when you dwell too much on it, you tend not to take any action.
Don't think too much.
Because taking the action is always the first step to achieving something. So I would say grabbing and making the most out of whatever opportunity that you have.
Mm-hmm. To me, it's get rid of your fear when it comes to any opportunities that you are facing. Like Gauri mentioned, don't think too much, because opportunities are just there, and you just need to grab one of them and to make it work. So don't be afraid, just step forward, and then if you can, take as many as you can, because you never know unless you try them.
Mm-hmm. For me, I just want to quote Yoda. Do or do not, there's no try. So just do it.
Thank you, Yoda.
Just do it and make more friends, especially in the among women and among men as well.
So that was Arlene, Gauri, and I at the Durian Heat today to talk about female entrepreneurship. Thank you for tuning into Durian ASEAN. I'm Grace Cho. And for more interviews by Durian ASEAN, please tune in to our website at durianasean.com. If you're on the go, you can always download our TuneIn app on your mobile. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels at Durian ASEAN and Durian ASEAN TV. Don't forget to follow us on our Facebook page, Twitter, and Instagram. We always welcome feedbacks from our listeners. Stay tuned with the Durian Heat from Tuesday to Thursday, the same time at 1 to 2 p.m. GMT plus 8. Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.